Now we will be starting Module 5, Plotters, Pot of Gold, Episode 3. It is for CU and other universities, NIOS and other universities. So the name is Aulularia, written by Plotters. The characters over here are Lar Familiaris, Euclio, Staphyla, Eunomia, Megadoros, Strobilus, Lysonidas, Phaedrilla, and Phrygia. Setting is in a street in Athens before the house of Euclio and Megadoros and the shrine of Phides. Now, Aulularia is a Latin play made by the early Roman playwright Titus Macius Plautus. The title literally means the little pot, but some translators provide the pot of gold, and the plot revolves around the little plot of gold, which the miserly protagonist Euclio guards jealously. The play's ending does not survive, though there are indications of how the plot is resolved in later summaries and a few fragments of the dialogue. Contents. We will first deal with the plot summary. Lar Familiaris, the household deity of Euclio, an old man with a manageable daughter named Phaedria, begins the play with a prologue about how he allowed Euclio to discover a pot of gold buried in his house. Euclio is then shown almost maniacally guarding his gold from real and imagined threats. Unknown to Euclio, Phaedria is pregnant by a young man named Lysonidas. Phaedria is never seen on the stage, though at a point in the play the audience hears a painful cries in labor. Euclid is persuaded to marry his daughter to his rich neighbor, an elderly bachelor named Megadoros, who happens to be the uncle of Lysonidas. This leaves too much by play involving preparations for the nuptials. Eventually, Lysonidas and his slave appear, and Lysonidas confesses to Euclid his ravishing of Phaedria. Lysonidas' slave manages to steal the now notorious pot of gold. Lysonidas confronts his slave about the theft. At this point of the manuscript breaks up. From surviving summaries of the play, we know that Euclid eventually recovers the pot of gold and gives it to Lysonidas and Phaedria, who marry in a happy ending. In the Penguin Classics edition of the play, translators E.F. Watling devised an ending as it might have been originally based on the summaries and a few surviving scraps of dialogues. Other writers over the centuries have also written endings for the play, with somewhat varying results. One version was produced by Antonio Arcio in the late 15th century, another by Martino Dorfius in the early 16th centuries. So even with so many versions, we will have to read the play. Key themes. The figure of the miser has been a stock character of comedy for centuries. Plautus does not spare his protagonist various embarrassments caused by the vice, but he is relatively gentle in his satire. Euclid is eventually shown as basically a good hearted man who has been only temporarily affected by the greed for gold. The play also ridicules the ancient bachelor Megadorus for his dream of marrying a nubile and far younger Phaedria. The silly business of preparing for the marriage provides much opportunity for satire on the laughable lust of an old man for a young woman, in a clever parallel to Euclid's lust for his gold. Again, Megadorus is eventually shown as sensible and kind-hearted enough to abandon his foolish dreams. Plautus' frequent theme of clever servants outwitting their supposed superiors find its place in the play too. Not only does Lysone the slave manage to filch Euclid's beloved gold, but also Euclid's housemaid Staphyla is shown as intelligent and kind in her attitude towards the unfortunately pregnant Phaedria. Adaptations. Another play, Curolus Seu, Aulolaria, Queurus Seu, Aulolaria, Auluraria, was at one time ascribed to Plautus, but is now believed to be a late, say, 4th century Latin imitation. It provides a kind of sequel in which Euclid dies abroad and informs a parasite of the hiding place of his treasure, which the latter is to share with Euclid's son Curolus. During the Renaissance, there was a number of adaptations of Eulolaria. One of the earliest was Giovanni Battista Gelli's Last Water, The Basket, which was published in Florence in 1943. A Croatian version by Marin and Brizic was titled Skup, capital KUP, The Miser, 1555, and set in Dubrovnik. In 1597, Ben Jonson adapted elements of the plot for his early comedy. The case is altered. At about the same time, it was also used by Danish Hieronymus Justine Ranch as the basis for his play, Carrying Knitting, The Stingy Miser. The very successful Dutch play, Warrener, based on Aulolaria, was written in by Pieter Cornelis Zoom, Hooft, and Samuel Cost in 1617. In 1629, the German poet Laureate Johannes Barmester published a Neo-Latin adaptation, also called Auleria, that reworked Plautus's comedy to a play featuring Achan and Rab from the biblical book of Joshua. Moliere's French adaptation, El Avare of 1688, was even more powerful and successful thereafter, served as the basis for dramatic imitations rather than Plautus's work. Aulolaria, the pot of gold, Titus Marcius Plautus, century 254-184 BC, composed over 100 comedies in Latin, adapting them from Greek originals. The play on which he based his Aulolaria, The Pot of Gold, has not survived. Moliere's 17th century El Avare, The Miser, is the most famous of the later comedies inspired by Aulolaria. Like all classical dramas, the Aulolaria is written in verse, and certain sections are meant to be sung by actors. We have set 5 of these lyrical passages to music. In ancient times, the accompaniment would have been provided by an aulus, a double reed instrument similar to an oboe. Although the characters in the Aurelia speak Latin, nearly everything else about them in Greek. They have Greek names, Greek clothing, and Greek customs. The action takes place on a residential street in Athens. All of Plautus' actors were men or boys, and they wore masks. The Aurelia would have been performed without intermission as we too perform it. Prologue, the Lar, Elia, guardian of the god of household, tells the audience about Euclid, a poor stingy man who lives alone except for an old housekeeper named Staphylian's Eucleo's daughter Phaedria, nicknamed All a Pot. Or Euclid has no idea that Fabia is pregnant and about to give birth. He has just discovered a pot filled with gold and is frantic that someone may steal it from him. The Lord survives us that the pot of gold will eventually enable Fabia to marry Lysaonidas, the young man who loves her and has fathered her baby. Scenes 1 to 2, or Yukio drives Staphyla out of the scene, suspecting that she is after the pot of gold, when in fact no one except Yukio even knows that it exists. He then leaves for this marketplace, where there is to be a free handout. Scenes 3 to 5, Eunomio has come to visit her bachelor brother Megadorus, Eucleo's rich neighbor. She advises him to get a wife. Sung Reluctant at first, he soon relents and decides to ask Ocleo for his daughter's hand in marriage, not knowing that she is pregnant. As Eunomio departs, Eucleo shows up and is persuaded to accept Megadorus's proposal. Megadorus volunteers to pay for two wedding feasts, one in his house and one in Eucleo's. He takes his slave, Strawbylus, with him to the marketplace to help him hire cooks and buy food. Euclio, after giving directions to Stifler, leaves to go shopping himself. Scene 15, Strawbelius leaves back from the market for 460 civic cooks. After lamenting their bad reputation as cooks, Song 2, the cooks enter Eucleo's and Megadorus' house. Euclio, returning to find his home filled with commotion, chases everyone out, sure that his gold has been stolen. Finding it still a safe, he lets, he lets the cooks continue with their work while he carries the pot with him under his cloak. Scene 16 to 18, Megadorus comes on stage, reflecting on the wisdom of marrying a poor girl with no dowry song. Yukio, overhearing the song, is pleased with its sentiments, but still suspects Megadorus of wanting to marry his daughter only to get at his gold. Megadorus leaves to prepare for the wedding as Yukio goes into the shrine of Fides, Fides, trust or faith, maybe the meaning, to hide his spot there. Lysanidas' slave, Pythodicius, now appears, having been sent by his master to spy out the situation. He beats about his present behavior. Song 5, 4, we get it. Scenes 19 to 23. These scenes are important also at the same time to know what has been happening all around. Now, taking it seriously. Scene 19 to 23, Euclid talking to himself over the gold. As he leaves the shrine is overheard by Pythodicus. As soon as Euclid leaves the shrine, is overheard by Pythodicus. As soon as Euclid enters his house, the slave rushes into the shrine to steal the pot. At that moment, the sound of a bleating sheep sends Euclid running back into the shrine to check on the gold. Finding Pythodicus there, he drives him out, out and integrates him. So such is the situation. Finally, letting him go when he sees that the slave is empty handed. He decides to hide the pot in a remote grove. As he exits, he is followed secretly by Pythodicus. Scenes 24 to 28, Lysaonidas and his mother Eunomia arrive at a Megadorus' house. Eunomia, having arrived, having learned the truth from her son, goes inside the Lysonidas to convince the brother to abandon his wedding plans. Pythodicus joyfully runs by with the pot he has prepared. After him comes Euclid, bemoaning the loss of his gold. Song 5, you will get it here. Lysimachus now confesses to Euclid and what reports that Cadbia has had a baby. As Euclid races inside his house to confirm this, Pythodicus returns having hidden the pot in his master's house. He brags to Lysimachus about the theft and he asks whether he can buy his freedom with his stolen gold. Outraged, Lysimachus orders him to give the pot back to Euclid. At this point, the text give breaks off. In our production, the Lord, Kaplelear, the God, will deliver an epilogue reconstructing the lost ending of the play, and everyone will, of course, live happily hereafter.